Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is V. If you're new, please do press that subscribe button right now. We've just hit 30,000, which I never thought would happen. For today's video, we're talking about all things lectures. I know that your first lecture is actually a very scary thing because you don't know what you're supposed to be doing.
Are you supposed to be making notes of everything that your lecturer is saying? Are you supposed to be on pen or on your laptop? Are you supposed to sit at the front or the back? What are you supposed to do? And how do you even make notes?
So I'm going to talk about all things notes and lectures in today's video. Hopefully you guys like it. And if you do, please leave a big thumbs up just so that I know that these kind of videos help and I can keep on making the content. So the first thing about lectures, where you sit does matter. If you're going to sit in the back and you're on your phone, you are definitely not going to concentrate. You're wasting your lecture. You've chosen to be at university. You're paying for this degree. You might as well actually learn and listen. So from the beginning, I'd recommend you get into a good habit of just sitting nearer to the front, just because you're not going to be as likely to fall asleep. You're going to have to concentrate a bit more because the teacher can see you or the lecturer can see you. People that tend to sit nearer to the front also really want to listen and work, and they'll be doing the work and not on their phones, so it will motivate you and kind of keep you accountable as well. The next thing is, before you even go to the lecture, try to make sure you get as much sleep as you can, because I've had those moments when I'm in a lecture and all I want to do is sleep. I can't concentrate, my eyes are drifting. Someone is talking at you for 1 hour. You don't get to really interject that much. No one, the same pace and tone. It's like a bedtime story if you are tired, so try your best to always be on the ball. The next thing is, if you can and your lecturer puts out the lectures before they give them, try to download the lecture before you even go into the class, just because that way you've already kind of seen what's coming up, and the class then becomes more of a refresher and an in-depth explanation of what you've kind of seen. So if you can, and also it would be good to have your screen up and then the lecture next to it that you're looking at. That way you're not going to be scrambling to try and write down everything your lecturer is saying. Instead, you're actually picking up the key points. The next thing is, when you have a Google Docs, a Google document drive open, try to keep all of your lectures in one place. So if you have a lecture every single Monday on Greek, art and architecture, make sure every lecture you have on Greek, art and architecture is in the same file. That way, scroll up and see what we talked about last week, so I know what is following on from. I had a Greek, art and architecture on a Monday file, then I had a Tuesday Roman art and architecture file, and I had to keep it in the same place just because it makes it easier and you won't lose anything or get confused. The next thing that I would recommend when it comes to your lectures is try to decide, are you going to be taking notes on paper or are you going to be doing it on your laptop? Because if you try to do both, you're going to end up with two sets of work that are separate. One's in your folder, one's on your laptop. It gets mixed up. So try to kind of figure out in the first few weeks whether you're a pen and paper kind of person or a laptop, and stick to it, because then your notes will always kind of make sense and be the same place. When it comes to actually taking the notes during your lecture, I used to do this because I studied classical archaeology and ancient history. So I would write anything that my lecturer was saying in black. I'd always write it always in black, using bullet points and a nice neat structure. Anything that they said where they were quoting a book that was from an ancient source or from another author that's not themselves, I would always have that in red. Just because when I come to writing an essay or even revising, I can use that as a direct quote to put into my work and I can reference the correct person. Then anything that I had thoughts on, I'd put in green. Then when I got home, if I hadn't have had the time to write my own thoughts and stuff, I would go back through my lecture and write my own thoughts in green. That way I'm not disturbing any of the work that I actually made in the lecture. It's good to try and keep the stuff that you actually write in the lecture the way that it is, because it's better for your memory. When you're revising, you remember it and you get triggered thoughts because it is how you heard it. So I used to write everything that I thought in green from what I'd seen in the red or in the black. Then you're basically becoming more critical of the work that you're seeing. Also, when you get a handout in a lecture, I'd always try to make notes around it, because unless they've got it online, if they've got it online, I'd annotate it online and keep everything online if I'm doing laptop. But if I was doing pen and paper, I would annotate around the handout, just because then you're interacting with the material rather than you get a handout, stick it in your folder and never look at it again. Now, when it comes to taking notes in class, I used to only ever take notes on pen and paper. I'd never take my laptop to my class, my one-to-one tutorials. At Oxford, you get one-to-one classes a lot of the times. And I'd make my notes always on paper because it just stuck more in my mind, and because it's one-to-one, the teacher kind of went at my pace. And once I got home, I would turn those notes into neater notes because I use those to revise from. Then I'd go home and then annotate it and put my own thoughts. So I always try to like critically assess what I've been writing in my notes, because otherwise you're just making notes and not doing anything with them. And then when it came to getting back essays and things, my tutors would always write like their thoughts on my essays around my work, either online or in paper. What I would then do at the end of each week with the essays that I got back, because I do like 1 essay a week or 2 essays a week, and that's just my life. Woo! So what I would do at the end of the week is I would write up my teachers' like criticisms or their markings on a different piece of paper that I would put behind. So in my folder, I always keep everything together. I would have the sheet that has my reading list on it. Then I would keep the sheet that has like the notes that I made on my reading list. Then I would have the sheet that has the notes that the teacher told me about in the class. Then I'd have a sheet with the notes of the essay. So by the end of the week, I have about 6 sets of notes on like one topic, which I then use for revision. And what I would do with the notes that my tutor would have made around my essay is I would write them up in neat and then put my own thoughts. And then when I'm writing my next essay, after writing it, I'd read back on everything I'd done wrong on the last essay and double check that it's not in the next essay. That way, when you go to class next time and they mark your work again, they're not correcting you on the same stuff that they already corrected you on. I would never ever let any marking or any commentary that they made go to waste. If they said, V, the structure of your paragraphing is not great, maybe you should structure it like this, I would take that and make sure the next essay didn't have that same mistake. The next set of note taking that I would give advice on is your reading list. You will get a large reading list and they'll tell you have to read everything. You don't, you have to read the most important stuff. And whenever I was making notes for my reading list, I'd always keep that stuff like as neat as I can, because it will get confusing when you're writing up your essay. My reading list notes kind of became my essay plan. I'd always write out the question, then I'd write out what like part of the paragraph that I'm trying to write is about. Then I'd write any direct quotes that I got from the books in red, put all of my thoughts in green, and then kind of use my thoughts in green to write my actual essay, because I wanted to stay as far away from the direct words of the authors as I can. And if I was going to put them in, I'd always put them in as like references, because plagiarism is real and I don't want it. So I try my best to get away from the original notes as I can and use my own thoughts for my essay. So that is how I made my notes, and my main advice is keep it neat. Always keep your notes neat, because those will be what you'll revise from. Keep them in order in the same place. Like I know that this folder is first term, I have a blue one for second term and then a red one for third term. I keep everything as sectioned off as I can, because you just don't want to like confuse your work. And basically that's it. Hopefully that was helpful. I'll see you guys in my next video, and made it this far ahead, comment down like a book emoji in the comment section, and then I'll like comment back a book emoji and I'll know that you made it to this point of the video. Love you lots. Bye. Have a nice weekend and good luck with your first lecture. Bye.